give you guys what's practical for you as nurses, and then give you guys a couple of movements that you can do, whether you're in the hospital, the clinic, or you're in a classroom. Just things you can like stand up next to your desk and do to get your blood flowing and body moving. So, Francheska.
So again, thank you guys so much for coming here. Honestly honored to be at UT. Everyone's like, Longhorn. So I'm like, wow, I'm here like talking to UT people. This is amazing. And just to preface everything, the way that I like to just, even fitness courses, just teach and talk to people is super open format. So like at any point, anybody has questions, just feel free to just ask your questions, ask anything. And like I said, I like it to be a dialogue because I feel like we always learn best when we're actually having a conversation instead of someone just talking to you and being like, this is how you're going to live your life and this is what self-care means. And we're like, okay, like how do I implement that? And just a little background on why self-care is so important to me. Just being a fitness professional, all my clients, they come to me and everyone has a different story. Some people are, they have issues with their back. Some people want to just lift or deadlift 500 pounds, and others want to have like a shredded body. And I'm like, cool, regardless of what your goal is, even if you just want to, just like you guys, if you're a nurse, you'd probably be like, I just want to like not be in pain when I'm working and just have a normal, healthy body. The biggest limiting factor for everybody, regardless of what you like, where you're coming from, what your goal is lifestyle choices, stress management. So that's kind of how Stacey said, like through my life, through taking different paths, everything's kind of just led to just taking care of yourself. And it seems like so nonsensical. It's like, of course we need to take care of ourselves, but I mean, as nursing students, would you say that you like put yourself at the bottom of your list, kind of, right? All right, so let's get started with some conversation. All right, so I'm just gonna, quickly run through my background. We're gonna hit just a basic Q&A on like what you guys imagine just self-care being and different things related to just wellness in general, aside from fitness and aside from career goals, just really focusing on your lifestyle and your daily habits. And then after that, we're just gonna go through some very basics. Like when I say basics, a lot of my clients joke to me because I'm like, we're gonna go back to the fundamentals. And when I say back to the fundamentals, like we're going back to breathing, we're going back to drinking water, like what are you snacking on? And that's really what I wanted to hone in on today. Like even if you take away from this, like, wow, I just need to tap into my breath more, maybe I just need to like be more mindful. Like it's really, truly the most simple pieces of a foundation that make the biggest impacts in our life, in our health, in our wellness, whatever you want that to be, even your career. And then at the end, we're gonna do 5 basic moves like Stacey said, and then we'll do some reflections. All right. What comes to mind? People, what do you think about self-care? Like truly, first thing. Showering. I like it. A lot of us skip those.
I learned that the hard way. Not me.
I say being happy.
Being happy? I love that. Anything else? Snacking. Awesome. When I think of self-care, like honestly, the first thing that comes to mind, just so y'all can get an idea, bath bombs. I don't know. Maybe I'm very basic. I don't know, bath bombs. And then one thing I really want to hone in on as well is, aside from what self-care habits mean to you, and you kind of honed in on that as well, it's what is the deeper level? Like having self-care habits and utilizing different techniques or rituals in our life, like what is really the end goal? Like is it to be balanced? Like what are y'all looking for in life? Do you want to feel happy? Like what is it? Like truly, like what are you feeling that you want out of life?
I just want balance.
Balance?
Like, I have a strong workload in school, but I also make sure I make time for my personal life. Like, I go out on the weekends and I just do a few things that are not school related.
So not only a nurse?
Yes.
Beautiful. And like I said, what really I want everybody to hone in today is the basics. And like I have a water jug that I walk around with everywhere. And honestly, if I leave my water jug at home, it doesn't like quote unquote ruin my day. But I'm like, oh no, like one of the biggest cornerstones of my day is just completely at home. So the next thing that we're gonna come into, I'm really big on just focusing on the basics when it goes to mind, body, and soul. And then I went in and added a little bit, an extra one for environment, got a little broken off over there. But when it comes to the body, the number one thing that I think all of us miss out on, especially students because we have such a big workload, is actually getting sleep. How many hours do y'all get of sleep? Do y'all know? Do y'all track it? No, don't track it.
At least 6 hours.
At least 6 hours.
I slept 2.5 on Sunday night.
Oh, wow.
And how did you feel?
I had a good clinical day.
You hear that?
Yeah.
But do you ever feel like it really cascades into your week sometimes if you miss out on that sleep? So for most people, actually 8 hours, 7 to 8 is usually the optimum amount of hours. Just to tap in on some basics, I always just recommend trying to see how you feel with the maximum amount. A lot of times you're like, wow, I'm making a sacrifice and really trying to just put all my time into sleeping. But we're really truly batteries. Like if you truly charge yourself all the way, you're gonna be speeding through your day, you're gonna get everything done a lot more. So with everybody, when it comes to sleep, like I said, my clients come to me and they're like, how do I burn my fat? How do I do this? And I've said basics like probably 1,000 times, and I'm gonna say it 80 more times. The basics are everything. I tell them to sleep and they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, I have a job, I go to school, I do this, I work 12-hour shifts. And it's like, if you want to be a better human being, you gotta work. And a lot of times we think of it as almost having to do more, but in reality you're doing less so that with whatever you take, you have 16 hours left in the day if you sleep 8 hours, right? So with those 16 hours, you're actually doing more and you're kind of just running at a faster pace because you're not sluggish. So that's just really one thing I like to hone in on people, is kind of just changing that perspective a little bit. That if you are truly a battery and you charge it more, you're not taking away from your day by sleeping. You're actually adding to your day by sleeping.
I remember one day when I got 9 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
This stands out to me because I was in college, and I had like a busy day the next day, and I felt like a different person.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't bother me. I feel good.
It's like
and it felt like I was on some like lovely Xanax or something.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, everything's okay.
It's like your
It
levels.
was just 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah, and honestly, as a fitness professional, I have like an extra weight on my shoulders that I have to like lead my clients by example. So I'll do like all these crazy tests and really test out like different wellness techniques and kind of all these habits that I've been doing. And I was on this app for a long time. It literally is on your wrist 24 hours a day. I had it on for like 4 months just to see like what my nervous system and what my body was doing, just relative to everything, relative to sleep, relative to training, relative to having a crazy life. And dude, when I slept 9 hours every day, like it doesn't matter if I had a project and I had to leave the project and just go to sleep, my life was, it's like you said, I was on cloud 9. And I'm trying to live my life like that all the time. Right now I'm getting a good like 8.5. So I'm like almost there, but really investing that time completely changes your life. And I mean, you don't realize it until you try it. And I see a couple head nods, so you're like, yeah, I really do feel better when I sleep. But all right, moving on. So yes, 9 hours if you can, 9 hours. All right, and then breath. Breath is the other thing that to me is the cornerstone of health, along with water and nutrition. But I want to go into like some sciencey stuff about breath. So the beautiful thing about breath is that, yeah, we have a breath cycle. We inhale. There's a pause at the top. You exhale. And there's a pause at the bottom. I didn't know until recently that your inhale is actually putting you in a more sympathetic state of your nervous system. So that's increasing that fight or flight. And then the exhale is actually deregulating your nervous system. So that exhale is really what's bringing you down into a parasympathetic, rest and digest, rest and recover state of mind. And that blew my mind because I've been going to 1 million yoga classes, I've done 1 million breath practices, and sure we were focusing on the inhale, but nobody made that mental connection for me. And like anything, it's really seeing the value of, oh wait, once you really exhale, I'm calming down my nervous system. I was like, I was never focusing on the inhale or on the exhale when I was stressed out. When you're stressed out, you're like, okay, I gotta do breath work. I'm just focusing on the inhale. So you're actually putting yourself in a more adrenaline-focused, nervous system state. So to me, that is the most beautiful thing because we're all stressed all day, 1 million times throughout the day. You go home, your house is a mess. You're like, oh my God, I gotta do dishes, and we're over there kind of hunched over, poor posture, and we forget about the most beautiful thing. It's our diaphragm. So that diaphragm, and it's not even about the inhale, the exhale, it's really about just trying to be more mindful with our body and be present in our body. Because if we're really just focusing on our breath all through our neck, all in our ribs, that's still increasing that nervous system response to go up because we're not relaxing our body, we're not using our breathing muscle, our diaphragm. So, and another thing of just adding things into perspective, one of the beautiful things about the diaphragm is that it actually massages your organs from the inside. So as you're moving, it's pushing your organs up and down just very slightly. It's like millimeters, but you're massaging your organs, getting everything moving on the inside, massaging your lymph. Y'all are nurses, so I hope I don't have to go super into the lymph and all the systems. But when you're focusing on your breath, a true centered breath, you're relaxing your body, you're getting your organs moving, you're getting your lymph moving, you're releasing toxins from your body. And with that diaphragm, it also helps cue your body to like stand up a little taller, engage. Y'all work, or if you're not working now, you're gonna start working, especially being on the floor a long time with those shifts. The biggest thing is just taking care of your moneymaker. Your moneymaker is your body, your mind, and your ability to stay calm and collected. So to me, it's everything. And I see myself doing it, even though I know it. Like I know that my diaphragm helps relax my body. I know that I need to not breathe with my neck, but if you see my neck, I have these crazy like stressed out like muscles in my neck. So literally every day I'm like, use your diaphragm, just relax, everything's gonna be fine. And honestly, like I'll be having a panic attack. How about this? The other day I was trying to file stuff for the IRS and it was not working, and I heard horror stories. I mean, everybody hears IRS and you're like, oh. Like, everything is gonna be okay. It's gonna work out, and then it got submitted, and I tried to not have a crazy stress response about it. But y'all feel like that's like practical, like okay, like actually seeing my breath from a different perspective, utilizing it throughout the whole day, and especially just like walking to class, taking a break, just standing up in between things, like just taking a moment to just breathe, because a lot of us have shallow breath. And that is not conducive to like healthy bodies at all. Like shallow breath means shallow toxin, or like just your lymph's not moving, you're not releasing toxins from your body, your muscles are getting stale. So better breath, better movement from the inside.
All right. That's such a good point that you bring up, Francheska, especially for them about to walk into your exam. And you know how your body like tenses because you're like, and now I've just learned, you know, breathing with my diaphragm and just making sure I do that long outward breath to just relax me, because you know what you know going in there. You know what you're going to be answering and you're well prepared. It's just now relaxing the body into it so it's a free flow. It's a free flow to just let your thoughts come out. So I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the key. Just let it go. Exhale. All right, and then just want to touch on nutrition just briefly, because I feel like nutrition is one thing that we always over-focus on in self-care, and really I want everybody to think of this as just everything being equal. You know, there's so many individual bits, everything that's broken down into subsections, but really mind, body, soul, environment, all balanced. And I added environment because we always focus on mind, body, soul, but there's so many things on the outside that are affecting us. And it's not like we don't have an impact on our environment. But just to touch on nutrition quickly, like I said, I always go back to the basics. And then little by little, you know, once somebody owns the basics, then you can get more sophisticated, in-depth conversations on like, what are your nutrition goals? But just for a nurse, basic stuff, and students, nursing students, really, prepping. Prepping is gonna be everything. And especially for you all, like probably prepping on your off days. You know, not trying to like make sure that you're not trying to compile too many things in a day. You know, just spread everything out, make sure that we're prepping when we have off time, just so that we're not stressing ourselves out. You know, like you said, the biggest thing is about balance and making sure that we still have a life outside of work, outside of school, outside of our professions. So my biggest tip to y'all is a crock pot. That is the number one nutrition tip. Get a crock pot or share a crock pot with a roommate, whatever. It's one of my recent things that I got, and I actually got it from my boyfriend for Christmas. But the crock pot completely changed my nutrition game. Like, I was eating tacos all day, and I still eat tacos all the time, but it was like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was like, I need to eat at home. Like, this is not getting sustainable.
I mean, an instant pot.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They're so good. You're on the nutrition game. Get your snacking. All right, y'all. So going to the mind real quick. Biggest thing is just learning how to delegate things better. So especially as students, we sometimes have so much on our plate. It's figuring out, maybe should I do a to-do list? Should I break things up by task? Maybe we should just focus on just today. Maybe not worrying about what's due tomorrow, what's due the next day. Of course, you need to have a great scope on things, but just planning out your day, making sure that you're not overwhelming yourself or looking too far ahead. That's one thing that helps me so much. I'm a chronic to-do list person, but hey, we all have our thing that kind of helps us stay present and not be overwhelmed with all the tasks that we have. Because I'm sure all of us have a million tasks. We have tasks that are due like 6 months from now. We have a task that's due a year from now. And then with that, I really want to highlight the ask for help part. I feel like just as successful people and people that have a lot of ambition, that's the one thing that kind of gets pushed to the very end with like how we said in the beginning. As nurses, you care about other people, you care about your schooling, you care about all these things aside from your actual self and your actual health. And the asking for help for me personally has been the biggest thing. And even just in my professional life, I'm like, I can do it all by myself. If you can do something, I can do it better. Like total mentality. That's how I talk to myself. And that's great, but I put too much on my plate. I don't give myself the room to ask for help or to delegate tasks. So for that being said, delegating tasks can help, kind of asking people to do stuff, do more, even if you're working in a team setting. But the biggest thing is realizing when you're overwhelmed and like being willing to ask for professional help, being willing to ask for a counselor, going out of your way. And I know everyone here in this room is pretty young. So as a kid, when I ever went to my first therapist, it's because my mom died. I was like super aggressive and I got in like a fight with my dad. It was totally his fault. It was a crazy long story, but she's like, you're gonna go to therapy. And I went to therapy and the therapist was like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You just like to talk a lot. And I'm like, okay. So I always had this bad association with therapy. I always had this association with therapy that, oh, there's something wrong with you and that's why you have to go to therapy, even if it's just counseling or talking to somebody, even if it's confiding in a friend. A lot of times we feel that if we're being vulnerable, if we're showing that something's bothering us, we're not strong and we're not doing enough. And I mean, we all live in American culture. It's more. Like, we're not very often told, just take a step back and ask someone for help. Usually it's seen as a sign of weakness. And back in June, I was so overwhelmed in my life, and it was all personal, and I felt the weight of my personal life. Like, my business was going good, my fitness life was going good, my health had gotten better, and that's something I want to talk on soon too. But everything was going good except for my personal life. I felt like my personal life was in shambles. So I went to a therapist, and it helped so much. And I felt so vulnerable doing it, and it was really, I thanked myself. I was like, good job, 26-year-old Fran. I was like, 25-year-old me would have thought that was belittling, or I would have thought that I was weak, or I would have thought there was something wrong with me. In reality, I was just overwhelmed, and I needed a different perspective, and I needed someone to talk to. So that's another huge takeaway just from the basics, and that's in all levels. Asking for help with tasks, asking for help, maybe your apartment's a mess and your roommate's not helping. In all ways, especially mental health, for sure. All right, and then we can add in venting with that. So some of us like to FaceTime our friends and vent, call our moms 1,000%. As I've gotten older, I would have never thought that I'd call my mom every day. And it's pretty much just for venting and like just touching bases, but same thing for her. She calls me every day to talk and vent, and I'm like, wow, this is a really cool relationship. So if there's anybody in your life like that both of you need each other, it's like symbiotic. Who knows, maybe I'll start calling Stacy every day, and I'm like, hey Stacy, how's your day going? Someone just cut me off, I need to vent it out. All right, and then another thing is rituals, habits, and journaling. Everyone's different. Some people like to draw, some people like to journal, but there's so much power. And I feel like a lot of it goes back to all of our childhoods and all of our youth. A lot of us spend so much creative energy doing hobbies and creating habits, and then once we get older, all those things kind of take the backboard. So really kind of just taking the time to explore yourself, explore your emotions, explore just how you're feeling. And for me, journaling, I used to kind of think about it as I had to journal so that I can be like a well-balanced human. And then I was like, wait, I get to journal and I get to draw and I get to just have a moment where I do whatever I want in my journal. So I think that's a beautiful practice. And I know everyone's different. Some people don't have a journaling practice. For some people it might be writing or note-taking or just something different. Even if it's reading, like anything that you feel like that's your safe space where you can do whatever you want. Because a lot of people don't have that practice. And then once they journal, actually one of my friends, she's a little bit older than me, and I always joke with her because she has a very regimented idea of what self-care is. You know, for her, self-care is like going to the doctor, or like, it's like physical. I guess her idea of self-care is very physical, right? She's a very physical person. So she recently got into journaling, and she sent me a text the other day. She's like, oh my God, I don't know, I never got into journaling. She's like, this changed my life. And actually, I went back and I read my own journal, and I was like, wow, I sound like a crazy person. Like, maybe I should go back to therapy. All right. So, and rituals and habits, same thing. Just kind of how I mentioned in the beginning, just seeing your life in a different way of like, okay, maybe this is a moment for me to just focus on my breath while I'm doing whatever I'm doing, while I'm cleaning up, maybe making sure that I have proper posture in whatever your rituals and habits are. Anybody have any dope rituals or habits? No? All right, I'll share some rituals and habits. So one of my rituals I actually share with one of my best friends, and she's somebody that I've bonded a lot over fitness, and kind of how I told you guys in the beginning that most people that are really into fitness, they realize they're not reaching their goals, and it's actually because of lifestyle limitations and stress management. So my friend Lilia, her and my ritual, and this is more of like a monthly ritual or bi-monthly ritual, but we go and donate blood together. It's super cheesy, but we go and donate blood together, and then we'll go and grab some brunch, and we'll just like talk and touch bases, and then we'll just go and do financial planning. It's like the most adulty thing I would have ever thought of. But we go and we donate blood together. We kind of, we don't take the whole day off. You know, we both are able to work remotely, thankfully. But we'll just, you know, cultivate habits that calm us down, make us happy, and giving back is so important to yourself, like just your sense of self, really. It's so important to your sense of self and your sense of connectedness, and that sense, it's almost a reality check. It's like, wait, like I don't need to go, do more. I really need to take a step back, be one with my body, take a deep breath, you know, and take my life a step at a time. And for me, giving back, and this is actually something I talked with Stacey about, and I really want to share it with you all. The whole reason why I even got into giving blood is because when I was younger, as soon as I got out of college, I had this mindset of, I can't go live with my parents, they're gonna make me crazy, I gotta get a job. So I got a job at a law firm, and it was I'm just gonna say, it was the worst thing I ever did in my life. I mean, you guys see I'm a jittery person, I'm high energy, so for me to be sitting like this all day long, especially being an active person my whole life, my joints hurt me. And I can go on forever, but I have old back injuries. I'm just, on the inside, I look like I'm like strong and stuff. On the inside, my bones are like, so I really couldn't sit at a desk. So it was like emotionally messing me up, physically hurting my back. Like my mind, body, soul, environment, all of it was just like, no. Like every single thing had a thumbs down on it. So at that point in my life, I was chronically depressed. Like I stopped working out, I stopped moving. I really didn't have any great relationships with any of my friends at that point, because I always had very like warm, like thriving relationships with my friends. It's like I like fallen off the earth and was like a stale cookie or something. Like I had no life in me. I don't know where I came with the stale cookie, but it's how I felt. It's really how I felt. So at that point in my life, my aunt, who's a very close person to me, my aunt's pretty much like my dad figure in my life, right? So my aunt is a little bit older. She had a high-risk pregnancy. She was 40 at the time, and she had gone into labor. And you know how it is, like when people are high-risk pregnancies, they go into labor like 3 days before you're expected anything. So I was 5 hours away from her. I had no plans of this, so I called my boss. I'm like, hey, I gotta go. My aunt's about to die. And I hate that I prefaced with that because she was actually like about to die. So I drove all the way down to Miami, Florida. I got there just in time before the birth. And my aunt, when she gave birth, they didn't realize, and yes, you guys are nurses, so y'all know what's up. They didn't realize that her uterus didn't contract. So she was internally bleeding for 2 hours. 2 hours. So, and I had actually, and this was when I lived in Miami, so traffic is like Austin times 3. So I had driven 30 minutes back north, and this was like at 4 in the morning. And by the time I had come back down south after that 2-hour call, or that 2-hour window that she'd been bleeding, I was stuck in traffic. So I'm stuck in traffic, having a panic attack with my mom, and I'm like, what if she dies? And then my mom's like, but what if they give her a hysterectomy? Like all these what ifs. And then we got there, and thankfully nothing happened. They just put a balloon in her uterus, got it to contract. I don't know how it worked, but everything got settled. But at the end, she had 8 blood transfusions. And I remember I used to be anti-blood giving. I'm very scared of needles. I mean, I have tattoos and piercings, but anything that goes intravenously, I was like, whoa, I don't know about that. That completely changed my life. Like, not even just my perspective on giving blood. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be an angel and I'm gonna give my blood. Like, no, it got so much deeper than that. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm working at this job that I hate. I'm depressed. I don't even like feel like my body's mine. You know, I have no ambition, and my mental health was in shambles. Like, everything was in shambles. Like I said, every single thing had a thumbs down on it. So at that point in my life, I was like, okay, I need to really take a step back and see like what my purpose is, and see what is really going to make me happy as a human being. And then I was like, okay, movement, fitness, and then somehow I'm here. But truly, it's really about going back to those basics and seeing what's like important to us, and readjusting our reward system too. It's like, how do we reward ourselves? Like, we all deserve to be rewarded. Like, we're all doing a great job, we're all putting in the work, we're all putting in the effort. Y'all are gonna go ace your test right now, you know? Like, Sean's over here doing awesome projects. You know, we all deserve to give back to ourselves. And I think that's one of those things too, that American culture, we don't see that as a plus. They're like, no, you're selfish. It's like, oh, you wanna go and do a spa day? Like, oh wow, you're really selfish. And it's like, you don't have to go out and like do a luxurious spa day. You can bring a spa day into your house. You know, you can go get a bath bomb, maybe go rub your feet a little bit, go foam roll. But truly, yeah, we went from how I do rituals into how I got here, but truly, that's how life is. You know, you think you're taking this one journey, and then all of a sudden there's this hiccup in your road, and you're like, wow, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't thinking about how I'm gonna optimize my life, you know? All right. Anybody got anything to say about soul? We got stress acceptance up here. What is that? It means stress is a part of life. It's never gonna go away. We just gotta manage it, become stress ninjas, use our diaphragm. All right, and then positive self-talk. This is one of the most, I think this is the most popularized thing on this list right now. Everybody's like, body positivity, like talking positive things to yourself. And I think that is so important, honestly, because a lot of times we put ourselves down, we make ourselves feel like we're not worth giving ourselves some love in return. And like I said, everyone's form of self-care habits is going to be different. We're all going to have different rituals. Some of us are going to be journaling, some of us are going to go paint. Everybody has something different, and I think that's the true beauty in this. Like, this isn't a guide on how to, you know, you're going to do these 5 steps. It's like more about like looking into yourself, like what makes you happy, what makes you feel comfortable, what calms you down. Like I said, I like bath bombs. I don't know why, but I truly, I have this tub, and I've gotten in this ritual of like having it like really, really hot. So I'll go and like heat up my pot and heat up like a tea kettle, and then I'll go and put all this boiling water in the tub. I'm like a crazy person, I know. But I make it super hot, and then I just open up a book, lay down for like 15 minutes, and to me that like calms me down so much. It's probably because I'm trying to like breathe the whole time because I'm sweating bullets. So I think it's a very like physically imposed like relaxation technique, you know? So everyone's different. Some of y'all don't want to go in like 180-degree water and boil to death. All right, the third one is huge: social media cleanse and social media hiatus. If you heard anything I've said now, I'm very just foundation based. Even my training, everything that I do is very foundational. And I have a true belief that if you're not honing in on the basics, like if you're not drinking enough water, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough breath work, all the crazy things you're gonna stack on top aren't gonna do anything really. Sure, they'll help you and make you feel better, but those foundational things are truly like the essence of life. Like, you have to breathe, you have to drink water, you have to sleep. And then with that, professing all that with the social media cleanse, I don't think a hiatus is necessary. For some people it is, and everyone's different. So for me personally, I don't take hiatuses because it's a part of my life. I'm a social being. I've been on the internet since, I don't know, before MySpace was a thing. So for me, social media hiatus actually takes away some of my happiness because I like social media. That's how I get some of my happy time. But I think the biggest thing, just for me personally, is that cleanse. I suggest every single one of you to go home and do a social media cleanse. And if you haven't, has anybody done a social media cleanse? Y'all familiar with that? So what I mean by social media cleanse is go on your feed, whichever feed you use most, whether it's Facebook, MySpace, no kidding. Yeah. I like Instagram, so I did this probably 4 years ago, and I did it kind of subconsciously at the time. I just started unfollowing a lot of people, and I was like, man, I'm mean. Why am I unfollowing people? I'm like, is there something wrong with me? And I realized if it's not conducive to my life, if it truly doesn't make me happy, if a feed is something's indifferent to me, it's not useful to my life. And that's the thing with social media. We're bringing social media into our life subconsciously all the time. I get bored, I click on that fuchsia golden button. I don't even know what the colors are, but that Instagram button, I'm just like, yes. And you have to be so conscious of the fact that we're programming ourselves. And just to touch on this, and I want to touch on this very quickly because I know y'all gotta go soon, but the 30 minutes before you go to sleep and 30 minutes after you wake up is when you're quote unquote the most subjective. So that means you are literally like a 2-year-old baby who's so, you know how babies, they're a sponge and everything you throw at them, they absorb? That's how we are 30 minutes before we go to sleep and 30 minutes after we wake up. Sure, we're way smarter than that, but we're accidentally, subconsciously programming ourselves to think a lot of different thoughts. So whether you're on your phone, whether you're just watching true crime, hopefully not, because that's me before I go to sleep. I get nightmares. Don't watch true crime before you go to sleep. But it's just having that mindset of, wow, wait, I'm actually more able to program these habits and thought patterns into myself 30 minutes before I go to sleep and 30 minutes after I wake up. And if we look into our day, that's when most of us are dragging around and trying to make sense of the world around us. So I think taking advantage of that window is super important. And then that's when this social media cleanse is going to come into practice, because we're always on that. So anything that doesn't add value to your life, anything that makes you feel a certain type of way, and you don't even have to overthink it. If something makes you feel weird, unfollow it. Because you're making yourself feel weird all the time. So all those weird butt accounts, I'm like, unfollow. I'm like, I don't like this. All right, and just taking a break. Super universal. Learn when to take a break. And don't feel guilty about it. I think that's the biggest thing I wanted to talk to everybody about. It's not having guilt about taking a break and acknowledging that we deserve to be rewarded, especially when we're doing an awesome job. And lastly, environment. This one. Set boundaries. So just setting boundaries, whether that's in all forms. Just being respectful to yourself, to your space, to what you want out of life, and how you expect people to treat you in return. Because that's more of especially when I think of boundaries, I think, sure, there's boundaries we can set with work, or how many hours we want to work, or just more task-related things in our life. But I think whenever we all think boundaries, we think other people. We think other people stepping in, other people asking for too much, or even if it's other people not doing enough, but just making sure we're setting social boundaries and respecting ourselves and expecting people to respect us in return and respecting others. Treat others how you expect to be treated. Organize. We kind of touched on to-do lists earlier, but even just organizing our space. I know all of us have hectic lives, so especially when your house gets a little bit unorganized, it kind of makes you a little stressed out. Just kind of taking that into practice and thinking about mindfully. We can use organizing with movement and breath and taking a break all at the same time. You can take a break and organize a little bit, focus on your breath, put on a dope podcast, chill around your house, and make it a practice. Don't think of it as a burden. It's really all about changing that mindset and changing that perspective. All right, and then this one. All right, so this is a little personal, but I have a 13-year-old brother, and he listens to the most sad music in the world. And I think every preteen listens to very sad music. Man, it's bad. It makes me cry. But I told him, I'm like, you're really programming yourself. And it's not even just about sad music, but just realizing that we're all emotional, social beings. So sometimes we don't realize how much our music impacts us and how much our music can stress us out or bring us down. Just kind of having that awareness of, oh crap, what am I listening to? Even if it's just maybe if you want to be more hyped up for work, put on some hype music, trying to calm yourself down. Maybe put something that speaks to your soul, something chill. It's kind of nonsensical, but I think a lot of us don't hone in on that as much. Like, wait, what am I listening to? I've been listening to way too much hype music. So. All right, lovely people. So we're just gonna do this real quickly. Actually, I know y'all gotta leave real quick, so if y'all want to take this real quick, you can use these resources whenever you like. On my YouTube, I have a whole bunch of free resources on YouTube. And then I have a free program online. So in that free program, it's a movement program and it's body weight. So you can do that wherever you want, no equipment necessary. And then the format that I take with that, yeah, you'll bust a little bit of a sweat and, you know, get all dirty. But I really hone in on kind of focusing in on your body and kind of slowing things down a little bit. So it's kind of going to follow the theme of this today. But that's out there. That's just francheskamartinez.com/free, and that is always available to y'all as a resource. And then Facebook, nobody releases that. And then we got Instagram over there. But if y'all want to just move for 5 minutes before your test,
This is good for their exam.
let's do it. And these are just 5 super simple basic movements you can do anywhere. So the first one is going to be a lateral line stretch. So we're just stretching everything along the side. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my right leg forward in front of my left leg. So my left leg's going to be straight, and I'm going to come onto the side of that leg. And I'm just thinking about driving into my left side and just reaching. So you're going to bow that whole side of your body. Yeah, you're tight. I see you. And try to see if you can lock out that elbow. And this one will feel a lot better if you're ever in a door frame. So you grab the door frame here, you kind of lean into it.
I've never seen the left foot turn like that.
It feels so good, right?
Yeah.
And y'all can switch sides. So on the other side, it would be left leg forward, and then going into the right side. So like I said, a door frame on this one's great, but if you don't have anything, you can just lean in a little bit. And then if you want to regress this one and take out the leg, you can just do upper body. Oh, I do this one all day. It's amazing. Feeling into the low back, relax that neck a little bit. Beautiful. Next, we have a Tai Chi lunge. So this one's just great for opening up the mid-back and the hips. I'm going to come nice and wide. I'm just going to lunge into my right leg, and I'm just going to turn my torso towards that leg, and then switch my lunge. So I'm lunging into the left leg now. Then I'm going to turn my torso to the left, and switch. Nice. And see if you can utilize that breath. So I'm going to exhale, switch, inhale, turn. Exhale, switch, inhale, turn. Exhale, switch. Inhale, turn. Nice. You're about trying to keep that chest tall, proud chest. Beautiful. And then we got backstroke. So with this one, same thing as the first. There's different variations. You can imagine that we're swimmers, and we're going to be into a backstroke. Notice my hips are stable, so I'm squeezing my butt and trying to move through that mid-back. Or we can just do some rotations. All types of rotations. Feels good. Mid-back commonly gets tight on a lot of us, and tightness in the mid-back can make your neck feel stiff, shoulders stiff, low back. So it kind of helps connect all of that and open it up a little bit. And the next one, this is another one that I do compulsively. This is arm screw. So imagine that my arms are kind of like a towel, and I'm wringing out the towel. Relaxing the neck, pulling that shoulder over, and almost a little bit down towards the ground. Look like a dancer, Stacy. Did you dance?
Yes,
I can tell. Stays with you forever. Yeah, and think both arms staying out. There you go.
But isn't it funny? You drop it as you get older. That's the difficult part.
You gotta keep it in, give it a little salsa.
Yeah.
And the last one that we're gonna do, y'all, this is just a super simple spinal roll. So kind of simple to yoga. And with this one, really just want you to focus in on the breath on this one. So super simple movement, but it gives you the opportunity to focus in on your diaphragm. So I'm gonna stand tall, release the neck, and slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. And as I'm coming down, I'm making sure I'm pulling the abs to support my low back. Inhaling deeply through my nose, exhaling through my mouth. And as you come all the way to the bottom, I want you to relax at the bottom for a second. And then we're going to drive the knees forward, tuck that pelvis under as you roll into your low back. to put it into very simple context. We're just opening up that lateral line. You can open it up in many ways if you want. You can grab a door frame, getting some rotation through the spine. We even added that Tai Chi lunge to help open up the groin, open up the legs, help open up the spine. We did some backstrokes. We got into those shoulders. And this kind of gets like neck in there too, shoulders and neck. And then we focus on our breath and our spine. Super simple, super easy. I didn't even get on the floor. Yeah.
For this PEDS exam.
And then when in doubt, I don't like the last word, but I couldn't figure out a way to change it because it's supposed to fit in like positive self-talk, but keep it simple, stupid. Sleep, number 1, mindset, breath, hydration, nutrition. And once you got all those, then we can start moving a little bit.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for coming, truly, thank you. Y'all are awesome.
I'm still curious, you two, I mean, if there wasn't an exam, do you think other nursing students would really
yes.
appreciate? Yeah,
Our friends were like, on any other day, like, they would have came in.
they
But
would
it's
have,
just
yeah.
not an
So
exam.
maybe what we'll do is we'll redo this. Like have
It's
another
beneficial.
session and do it, yeah. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
making the
guys.
time, and I know you've only got 5 minutes, but hopefully you feel a little loose now.
Yes.
Going
It's all about
into
the
it.
basics.
Do you mind if you go back a slide and I can take a picture?
Oh, of course. This one?
Yes, this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, send me that.
So when we study later,
Yes.
we can do this.
Open up that back.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and check out, and even if you don't want to do an actual workout, in that free program, there's like a cool warm-up and then a cool down.
Okay.
So if you just want to do like simple things like this, the warm-up and the cool down will be dope.
Cool.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.